से लेकर जानवर तक उसने किसी को नहीं छोड़ा था। इस बीच मैंने लकी को 2 बार फोन लगाने की कोशिश की, लेकिन वो मेरा फोन उठाने को राजी नहीं था। मुझे लगा कि वो बिजी या किसी काम में उलझा, और यही सोचकर मैंने अपने मन को बहुत समझाने की कोशिश की, लेकिन मेरा मन मानने को राजी नहीं हुआ।
Yep. Good morning, everyone.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं कह सकती थी कि इसमें लकी की
So last session we learnt about
मुझे लेने के लिए भेज दिया।
classes.
लगभग
So in object-oriented programming, we learned contracts and one more class.
डायरी बंद की और फिर उसे लॉक कर दिया।
And
मैंने आज तक रात का
few important things we discussed about class, about class declaration and class expression, class members. So what are the members in a class? 4. So properties, method, accessor and constructor. Can we have a variable in class? Right. So we can have a variable in class, but variable cannot be a class member, right? Can we have function in class? Yes, but function cannot be a class member. Why? Why? Because variable and functions are immutable types. Class can have only mutable types as class members. And we discussed about static and non-static. What is static? Static is continuous memory. Continuous memory. So memory allocated for first object will continue for other objects. And non-static is discrete. Discrete. When a developer needs static, when we need continuous operations, then we need static. Disconnected operations, non-static. That is discrete operations, we need non-static, right? And one more, we discussed access modifiers. We have 3 access modifiers. So public, private and protected. What is protected members? They are accessible only in derived class using derived class members, derived class object. Every member is accessible within the class, but outside the class, it is accessible only in derived class using derived class object. That is what actually class related. Understood all these points? Right. Next, now, once we know the class members, now we will have a simple overview on because these are all same JavaScript like. JavaScript classes also will have same properties, methods and all. First we will understand what is a property. What is a property in class? So in the class members, first properties. Actually property is, the purpose of property is nothing but, so properties are used to store data. Properties are used to store data. So in a class, data is stored in properties. So in a class, we store data in properties, right? Data is stored in properties. Generally, how you define syntactically, we have some public and property name and its data type and equal to some value. So you can configure a property like this. So properties will have access modifier, property will have property name, it will have data type and value. If you want to initialize, you can initialize. So you can define some private. It can be like price. It is what type? Number. We can store some number into it, right? So we can define like protected, some stock we have like Boolean, and we can store some true or false. We can store true or false, right? So here in a property, you can store any kind of data. You can store any type of data in property. Any type of data in property. Any type of data means you can store primitive types, or you can store non-primitive type. Non-primitive type. You can store any kind of data, either it is a primitive or non-primitive type. Primitive types, we know. Non-primitive means, suppose public, we have cities, it is an array, then we put a string type array is equal to, you can store some data. You can store some data into it. If it is object, then how do we define? So we have some rating. Rating is an object. Object will have rate is a number, and count is also a number. Then is equal to, you can store the data. Like this, you can define. Or you can also write like this. You remembered we learned contract, na? That means we can define public rating, can use I product, which is a contract. And in that we can store some data. The data must be according to the contract. According to the contract, we have to define. I just here reference like interface. Is a reference like interface. Right? That is interface. So now here we are defining properties. Properties can contain the data. Properties can contain the data. And data can be any type. It can be primitive or non-primitive. Now the doubt is, we can store data in a variable also. Then what is the use of storing data in a property? So in a variable also we can store data. Then what is the advantage of storing data in a property? So here very important is, technically storing data in a property is, what is advantage of property? Technically properties, I will give here. Properties are mutable. That's what we discussed. Na? Properties are mutable. So their state can change. Their state can change dynamically. Let's prove this point, how we can change the state dynamically. How we can change the state dynamically, we will see that. For example, one simple technical thing we will see, we will discuss here, right? Actually, yeah. So here I am giving a simple variable. So we will take some variable. So we have var some name is equal to TV. Now I don't want anybody to modify this name. Once the name is defined, I don't want anybody to change this name. Then how? So instead of declaring the where, so var, better I can use a const. Const name is equal to TV. So anybody cannot assign. Am I right? Now I want only the people who have admin role to assign, others not. That means for few people it should allow to modify, and for few people it should not. Then what is the keyword I have to use? This is variable. If I give read only, it is read only for everybody. Question understood? That means I want in such a way that for few people it works as read only. For few people it works as both read and write. Understood? So that is not possible with variables. Variables, you give var and let, they can be modified. If you give const, it cannot be modified. Then how you control the behavior, how you can change? That is why they are immutable. Immutable means their structure cannot change. Now it is possible with properties. How they can change? So they can change. So their state can change dynamically by using accessors. So how you can say properties are mutable? We have to prove this point. We will prove that now, and that is possible by using accessors. Actually, we will see now what is accessors. What are accessors? We will see a simple. Generally, accessor is used. Accessor is used to give a fine grained control over any property. Accessor is used to give a fine grained control over property. That means you can have fine grained control. Is grained means each and every part you can easily manage. So very well managed control on properties that you can do by using accessors. And actually, so we have accessors two types. Accessors are two types. So we have a getter and we have a setter. So getter is used to read and return value, and the setter is used to input and write value. So you can read and write into a property by using accessors. You can read and write into any property by using accessors. By using accessors, we can do that, right? Right. So by using accessors, you can read and write. I will show you now how we can do that. How we can read and write into a property by using accessors. So generally, we define syntactically like this. We have get, we have an alias name, and this will return some value. We have set alias name, and it will take a new value, and it is going to set value. That means into the property, it is going to set the new value. So getter is used for reading and setter is used for writing. Actually, this is very important to handle. Variables cannot change their behavior. That means a variable cannot have like at one moment it is using var, in another moment it is using const. It cannot be like that. Either it is var or it is const. But a property can change its behavior. Property can change the behavior. So how property changes the behavior? So let's see one example for this. Means let's take a real-time scenario. Suppose you are visiting some websites like bikes, cars, real estate. When you visit those websites, they will show you a car detail or a bike detail. And after that, price. Sometimes some people, what they do is, they will say that you will get price only after entering your contact details. That means you are not allowed to view price. And you can view price only when you finish entering your contact details. That means people who entered contact details, they can view, they can read. Others cannot read. So how we can control that? An admin user can modify details. Others cannot modify. How you can control like that? That you can manage by using accessor. Let's see one example. Here, to handle this example, I am creating here. We will do this through a HTML page. That means through HTML presentation. Then I am writing like this. So we have a variable. This is username. It is a string type. And here I will use a prompt. If I am using prompt enter name, you know already prompt needs a union type. Union type as what? Null. Null. That is username. And var role. It is a string type and it is null and it is prompt and enter your role. And here I am defining like role like admin or like manager, like customer, like this role I am defining. Now I am having another product name. Product name also we will take a string and it is a null, it is from prompt. Enter product name. These three details we will enter. Now we have a class product. This product class is having a property public. The property name I will give underscore product name. It is a string type and it is initially empty. Nothing is defined. Or just I will declare empty, or you can keep it as what null. Like this we define. By default what it is having null. Later we can pass some string into it. That is how we define the product name. Or you can use simple any type also if you want to handle all types. Now I used underscore for that name. Before the name I used underscore. That is a tradition actually. In real-time projects we use this underscore. So as a representation If any name is having underscore, it means that it requires, it means that it requires further implementation. It requires further implementation. That means in any software development, in any programming language, if any developer is giving variable names, property names, or method names starting with underscore, it means that it is not finished. It requires further implementation. That is a traditional designation actually. So we use these underscores to tell other developers that it have more implementation, right? That is tradition. It's not necessary. You can give anything, right? Now, this is only property, but I want a good control on this property. How anybody can access this property? First, we will create an object. TV is equal to new, which class? Product class. Now, what happens here is this TV can access product name and anybody can store data into it. So whatever product name they entered, I can store. That means I will just use that product name. This you entered in prompt, na? Whatever you entered in prompt, you are storing in that. Now, currently anybody can store. I don't want like that. Before storing, I need to verify. Is this user authorized to store that name? Otherwise, reject him. Then how do we control that? Is we will use, this is for writing the data. Then we will not directly do like this. What we will do is, we will create a property for, this is the property. We will create an accessor for this. One accessor is get, another accessor is set. One is for reading, another is for writing. So this get should work for which property? Underscore product name. That means to interact with underscore product name, we need a alias name. That means we need a reference name. I will give reference name as product name. Remember, this is the alias name. This is the alias name which maps to this location. Understood? That means it is going to map to that particular location, right? That means whatever alias name you given, this we will use to interact with which property? Product name property. To interact with the product name property. So we need an alias name. So product name, why it is showing error? Because every getter must return a value. What value it should return? The value present in this property. That means we will give return underscore product name. Because it is in a class, we have to access by using which keyword? This. All properties methods within the class are accessed by using this, right? Yeah. Now this is the getter. Now setter also product name, and it will take a new name. After taking the new name is what type? String type. So string, and after taking that, it will set that. So it is string, and it will set that new name into this property, into that property. That means what we have to do? So we have to use this dot underscore product name underscore product name is equal to, what is it? New name. New name you have to define. That's how we need to configure. Here it is showing some error. It is saying that it is string or null type. So that means assignable to string, because here we mentioned data type. Data type we have to give string or null, because product name is expecting either string or null. Okay. Now you can see we have one accessor to read, another accessor to write. Now, can everybody write? Can everybody write? No, everybody cannot write. Who can write? Only the people whose role is admin. Then for this, I will write a condition. If role is equal to admin, then only do this. Otherwise, if role is not admin, then document.write, we will put a message. Message is nothing but hello, and we will put username. So your designation. So your role actually. Your role, and what is the role he entered? Role he entered in role. Am I right? Your role is not authorized to set product name. That is the detailed message we are giving. We are saying that, hello user, your role is not authorized to set product name, because who can set the product name? Only admin can set the product name. So this is the accessor. Remember, here we have only one property, and we are giving a good control on that property by using accessors. We have two accessors. One is the getter, another the setter. Okay. Now what happens here? So we will define simply TV dot product name, that is alias name. Into that we will store whatever the product name they entered in the prompt. That means we will select here, what is it? Product name. But very important now, what happens is, when you entered a product name from prompt, what it will do is, it will not directly store here. It will not directly store. It will first go to this accessor. Understood? Into that accessor, it will pass that as a new name. After that, it will verify is role is admin or not. If role is admin, then only this new name will be stored here. Otherwise, it will display this message. That means it is not going to directly store. When you entered some new name, like some TV, this name is first passed into this as a parameter. After that, it will verify is the username matching or not. If role is not matching, then it will cancel this operation. If it is matching, then only it will store that new name. That means this name will be stored into your property only when this condition is matching. If not matching, it will reject. That means it is working as read only. It is working as read write. Now we have to print the details. I will mention if TV.product name is defined. This indicates it is defined. I told you we can use like this, not equal to undefined also. Am I right? Or we can simply say like this. This indicates it is defined. Defined means it is having some value. If it is having some value, print it. Document.write, we are printing. What is it? Product name. How to access? We don't use the original property name. We always use alias names only now. So that means TV dot, what is the alias name? Product name. That is how we do. That means we are this is alias name to interact with the property. We don't directly interact with property. We interact with property by using accessors. That means by using only alias name. Now this program is ready, but you cannot run in console, because in this program I am using lot of prompts and documents. So this program is only to run inside HTML page. So first translate this into JavaScript. So I will open in terminal. What is it? TSC index.ts. It is translated into JavaScript. it is showing some errors. Errors are reasonable because it is not error. It is saying that you are trying to use accessors which are available only from which version? ECMA script 5 and higher. In JavaScript ES5 and higher only accessors are available. They are not available in others. That's just a warning, no need to worry. After you translated into JavaScript, link that to HTML page. In HTML page, we will just put a link. What is it? Script source is equal to, it is in src index.js. Now let's run this and see. When I run this, now it will first ask some details because we given prompt. It will ask some details. It says enter name. I entered name John. It is asking role. Already default some roles are mentioned. Which role it is? Suppose I entered customer. Am I right? Okay. And after that, it is asking product name. Product name I given some Samsung TV. Then it says, so here you are not authorized to set product name. What is the role? Role is customer and you are not authorized to set the product name. Okay, let's refresh. Enter the name, some John. And the role is what? Admin. Product name is some Samsung TV. Then it is okay. That means the people who have the role of admin, they can store. And other people, suppose I am defining another name is some David, manager is the role, and product name is some Nike casuals, and it is not allowed. Even manager is not allowed because we just written condition only for admin. That means only the user role with what admin can enter, so these details and store. This is not possible by using any variable. Variable cannot change its behavior, but a property can change its behavior. A property can change according to the state and situation. That means in one state it is working as read only, in another state it is working as read write. That we controlled by using what? Accessors. So here another very important note is accessors. Accessors are available from JavaScript. So ES5 version. Accessors are available from JavaScript ES5 version. They are not supported in the earlier versions of JavaScript. So TypeScript translates everything into JavaScript. So what is supported? Actually, this is not any TypeScript concept. This is just JavaScript. So in JavaScript, all these topics are there. If you haven't learned all this in JavaScript, it is not good. You have to learn. Because this is not the topic somebody explains you in TypeScript. This all you already learn in JavaScript. JavaScript have accessors, right? You are not learning any new topic here. Same JavaScript accessors concept only I explained. Only one additional thing here is data type. When you mention properties, for properties you have to define access modifier and you have to define the type, data type, right? So this example I will give, you can try. This is index.ts. I will copy into the notes. I will copy this. This is index.ts. Another one is index.transcompile this. Already you know. Index.ts. Then in index.html, you just link this and you can try this example. This is the example for understanding and working with the access. So what is the purpose of a property? Property is used for storing data. What kind of data you can store in a property? Any primitive or non-primitive type. How properties are different from variables? Properties are mutable. They can change the state according to state situation. They can change. Who is responsible for changing them? Accessors. What are the accessors? Getter and setter. What is getter's responsibility? To read and return. Setter is for writing.
Right.
So you can even control for reading also. I return only condition for writing. Here also you can write condition. You can say that if role is admin, then only he can read the name. Otherwise it cannot. You can write conditions for both getter as well as setter. Right? This is important. Now actually accessors are used for another purpose also. This you do very much in Angular. Actually you can also use accessors to access any property, from a multi-level hierarchy. So to access any property from multi-level hierarchy, accessors are also used for this. So you can also use accessors to access any property from a multi-level hierarchy. What does that mean? I will tell you. What is a multi-level hierarchy of options? Let's see. This you have to use in so many occasions. In Angular, we use regularly. And what is that? I will show you. Let's see. For example, suppose here we are creating a class product. In this product class, we have public name. It is a string and some string. Now here we have defined another public, some rating. It is an object type. That means I am just configuring this temporarily as any. In this object, we have customer rating. And this is again an object. And this object have rate and we have like count. So like this we have. There is another option, vendor rating. And this is another object. We have rate and we have count like this. Now, generally, I want to access vendor rating. Then we have to create LET. So TV is equal to new product. And in this TV dot, I want to access console.log. So I say vendor rating. Vendor rating, how much? Then how to access? We need to use TV dot, what is it? Rating. In rating again, vendor rating. In vendor rating again, rate. This is a lengthy hierarchy. Sometimes it is present in a more lengthy hierarchy. So that means this is an object, in that again object. So I just given only 2 levels. Like that, we design multi-level forms in future. When we design multi-level forms, a lengthy hierarchy will be there. Now, how do we easily access this? To easily access this, it's very simple. We can simply create an accessor called vendor rating. This accessor can return this dot rating dot vendor rating. That's it. Now we don't need to access this complete hierarchy. TV dot, we can simply access, what is it?
Vendor rating.
That's it. This makes it easy. Now what this vendor rating accessor is doing, it is going to return this value. That means with a simple shorthand reference, you can access the complete hierarchy. Because actually, DOM hierarchies are very complex. But here, not just DOM hierarchy. Here, form hierarchies will be complex. Later, when you are working with forms, we have to design nested forms, a form inside form. We need to access a control which is present inside some 7-6 levels of form. Then it is very difficult. We can simply create an accessor for that. Now you can see this is enough. When you access that, it can handle it. Let's run this and see. We are saying tsc index.ts and we have node index.js. Node index.js, it will display. This is another concept about accessor. Previous example, we used accessor to control read and write. Here we are using an accessor to access a inner level member and use it. So this is very important in future when you are dealing with multi-level hierarchy of forms, right? So that means this is the example for that. I will copy this example. This is index.ts. This is example. So we have two important members in the class. One is property, another one accessor. And next important methods. Methods, all about methods. Methods is same as in JavaScript. So I am not explaining anything here. Time waste, right? Everything in JavaScript, what you know in JavaScript, you have to learn that. You have to learn that in JavaScript. Everything, we can't waste time here, okay? In JavaScript, you will learn about methods and properties. Actually, properties also same, just I given an additional point because we regularly use it, right? So all about methods is same as JavaScript, only one additional is, so you have to configure methods with access modifier and return type. You have to configure methods with access modifier and return type. That is only extra. Rest of everything is same. That means what is that? You have to just define public total is a method. This total method so returns what? Number. That means it should return some number. Return any number like this. And if it is not returning anything, then generally we define public. So print is a method and it is what type? Void type. Void type. And the rest of other options same like functions you have learned. That means method with parameter, method with multiple parameters, method with rest parameters. What is rest parameter? I told you, right? Method with optional. These are all JavaScript. So in JavaScript, you will learn about methods, the same concept here. So what you know about methods in JavaScript, simple. Actually, what is the purpose of method? Already I told you function, na? Method is used for refactoring. Am I right? Refactoring the code. It is used for refactoring the code. What is refactoring? Already we discussed, right? In function concept, I told you. So method parameters, method return types. So rest parameters, optional parameters, everything same like functions, right? Then what is another point about method? Methods are mutable. Methods are mutable. So functions are immutable, methods are mutable, right? That is one simple thing you need to know. Next, important in the class members. So we have properties, we have methods, we have accessors. Another one is constructor. Here also same JavaScript constructor, here also same, no change. JavaScript constructors and TypeScript constructors all are same. Some key points I will tell you. I am not explaining everything again here. So constructor configuration is same as in JavaScript. So no change here also. There is no change. Exactly everything what you learned about constructor in JavaScript, it is same here. So I hope you learned in JavaScript about constructor. What is the role of constructor? What is the purpose of constructor? Constructor is used for initializing objects. Then it should called initializer, na? Why you are calling constructor? If constructor is used for initializing values, you should say initializer. Why you given a different name? So the main purpose of constructor is used for instantiation. Is used for instantiation. That means constructor is responsible for creating object. It is used for creating object. So creating object for class. A constructor is responsible for constructing an object for class. Actually, constructor is a software design pattern. So it is under creational patterns category. Constructor is a creational pattern. We have software design patterns. So software design patterns, it's a big topic. Whenever time permits, we will discuss. But generally, I hope you learned some software design patterns. So in your Java, .NET like technologies, can you tell which patterns you learned? What software design patterns you learned in your technologies? You might have learned about a pattern called singleton. Singleton, you learned. Singleton means a class can have only one object. So we design class in such a way that it can have only one object. That is a singleton pattern. Singleton, abstract factory method. So many types of design patterns are there. In that, constructor comes under creational pattern. And very important here, that's why I'm not going detail, because same as JavaScript. Here in JavaScript, constructor is anonymous. Anonymous means without name. There will be no name for constructor. Generally, class name is used for constructor. But here in JavaScript and TypeScript, constructor don't have a name. It is just defined by using constructor keyword. So syntactically, so class, product, and we have constructor. So that is how we configure. So constructor parameters, it's parameters parameters are same as method parameters. Means single parameter, multiple parameters, parameterless, everything same. Actually, what is the purpose of constructor is creating of objects. At the time of creating objects, if you want any additional functionality, that you can give to constructor. You know, every class have a default constructor, right? Right. And you can write an explicit constructor, but very important is the purpose of explicit constructor is to define some action to perform. That means generally constructor is a special type of subroutine that executes automatically for every object. Is a special type of subroutine that executes automatically for every object. Special type of subroutine means it's like a special type of method. It is a special type of method that executes automatically. So here constructor is used for instantiation, and at the time of instantiation you want any functionality, that you can give it to constructor. So just a simple overview I will give here, because the concepts are same here. I am creating a class, suppose database. Now in this we have a insert method. So console.log and record inserted. Here we are defining a void type. Yeah, we are using the general tradition. Then public we have delete. It is a void type, and console.log record deleted. But before inserting record or before deleting record, I want first connection with database. After connecting only we can insert or delete. Then before inserting, before deleting, if connection is mandatory, then we will give that work to constructor. To the constructor we will give the work console.log, we will say connected with database. Now what constructor can do before it performs insert or performs delete, automatically it will be called. If you give this work to ordinary method, you have to call it manually. But if you give this to constructor, it executes automatically. That means for every object it will execute automatically. So what I am doing, so let ins is equal to, so new database, and through ins I am accessing what? Insert. I am just accessing insert method. But observe carefully here, this is class name, am I right? Then why you given this parenthesis after class name?
Constructor.
Is it necessary?
Yes, necessary.
Not necessary in JavaScript and TypeScript. It is not necessary in JavaScript and TypeScript, because this represents constructor, and constructor will be called automatically. Then you don't need this. You see, I am not giving that. But internally constructor is called. You don't need to do that, but it is not possible in many languages. We have to call the constructor. But you see here, it's okay. Now I am compiling that TSC and node index dot, it's working fine. And see constructor first connected, then insert. So we are defining only insert here, but it is connecting. And this parenthesis is referring to constructor, because constructor is an anonymous method. Anonymous methods are accessed by using an empty parenthesis. This is required if constructor is expecting parameters. If constructor is not expecting parameters, that is not required. That means without this parenthesis beside class name also it will work. But that parenthesis is required when your constructor is expecting parameters. Suppose DB name, it is what type? String type. Then what we will do here, we will write connected with. So here we will mention the DB name. Then here now it shows error. Why? Because your constructor is expecting parameters. Now in interviews they ask this question very regularly, which confuses freshers. So if constructor is parameterized, when to pass values into constructor? If constructor is parameterized, when to pass values into constructor? Because constructor we don't call, constructor automatically executes. Then when to pass values? What do you say? While? No, that is what you will do mistake every time. Not at the time of object creation. We have to say that at the time of allocating memory for object. At the time of allocating memory for object. At the time of allocating memory for object. That means you see new class name. Am I right? What is this new?
Allocate memory.
Memory allocating operator. New is memory allocating operator. So it allocates memory. At the time of allocating memory, you pass the value. Actually, new is an operator. This new operator's purpose is to allocate memory dynamically. At the time of allocating memory, you pass the values. That means not creating object. At the time of allocating memory for object. When you are allocating memory for object, you have to use it. For example, here, so actually, suppose MDN is official resource. MDN, suppose new operator. You see, this is MDN. And you see in MDN, MDN means official JavaScript. MDN is nothing but MDN actually officially maintained by Brendan Eich, Mozilla Developers Network, the person who invented JavaScript. This is his official repository. Your technologies sometimes may teach you new as a keyword, am I right? But here it is not a keyword, it is an operator. New is an operator, not keyword. And it is a dynamic memory allocation operator. So that means it creates an object and allocates memory for object. Allocates memory for object. At the time of allocating memory, we pass some values into it. Why I showed you that website? Because many people have controversies. My faculty said it is a keyword, you are saying it is an operator, right? That is depending on which reference they are talking. And we are talking our all concepts, whatever definition I am giving you, this is officially from MDN. Means officially from the people who built JavaScript, right? That means there is no chance of any controversy. Like some website said like this, some faculty said like this, no chance, right? Because people who built JavaScript, what they say, that I am telling you. So there is no other controversy and rubbish discussions, right? We will just ignore everything else. We will just talk as per standards what they say. So new is a keyword or an operator here? Operator. Actually in JavaScript, it comes under special operators. We have void. Void is also an operator. Void is also an operator. New is an operator. Delete is an operator. These are all under the concept of operators. So JavaScript have special operators. In JavaScript, actually JavaScript special operators. Special operators, we have like new, we have like void, we have like delete, we have type of, we have instance of, we have in, we have off. This all comes under operators. These are all operators. These are all operators only. Not keywords. We don't call these as keywords. New, void is also an operator. So what is new? It allocates memory. And what is void? It discards memory. Void discards the memory. So new allocates the memory, void discards the memory. So technically these all under operators. So if anyone asks like when to pass the values into constructor, if it constructor is parameterized at the time of allocating memory. So here I will pass at the time of allocating memory. Here we will pass DB name is a string. I said Oracle. Now you can see now when I run this, now compile and run, then it is going to display this. So connected with Oracle database record insert. This is general purpose of a constructor. And this is one example. Some important things you should know is in TypeScript and JavaScript, constructor cannot overload. Generally, overloading is supported, na? Right? Constructor overloading is supported in OOP languages. But here, no. You cannot have multiple constructors. Can you have more than one constructor explicitly written? In general class. In a class, can we write more than one constructor? Yes, that is what we call constructor overloading. TypeScript doesn't support. Another important, so it will not support static and private constructor. Actually, this is possible in other OOP languages. Other OOP languages can have a static constructor, they can have a private constructor. What is the purpose of a private constructor in other OOP languages? What is the purpose of a private constructor in OOP languages? So, writing a private constructor in a class will make the class protected so that it cannot be extended. You know that? You cannot extend the class. You cannot create an object for the class. You cannot create an instance for class. If anybody asks like how to secure a class so that object cannot be created, then by using a private constructor. How to protect the class from extensions? By using a private constructor. If there is a private constructor, you cannot extend the class and you cannot create an object. But here it is not possible. In TypeScript, constructor cannot be static, constructor cannot be private, right? So these are some basic things you need to understand about constructor. And I hope you know this point. This is basic constructor related points. Rest of all options are same like JavaScript. Some new points I told you here. So all these are the members of class. Let me give you the summary. So what are the class members? Summary for class. What are those? One we have property, another have method, we have accessor, another one constructor. This is all about class. How we can configure and define the classes. Now, another very important you need to understand here is, after knowing the class, you should know about implementation, class implementation. Class implementation. class implementation is very important. Actually, what is the concept of implementation? Generally, so every class is designed as per the contract. So every class is designed as per the contract. Generally, till now we created simply class, but actually we don't directly design class. Classes are designed as per contract. I already told you, every component in real-time projects we do as per rules, as per contract. So every class is designed as per contract, and contract is implemented by class. Contract is implemented by class. A contract is implemented by class. We have to implement a contract. So the implementation must be according to the contract. Let's see. So class implementation, how it works generally. Suppose we are creating a interface. What is it? I product. In that name, string type. In that price, number type. In that stock, it is a Boolean type. In that, suppose I will just give it is here quantity as number type. And we have total. Total is a number type. It should return, right? And there is a print. It is what type? Void. All are mandatory. Now I am creating a class. Now when I am designing a class name is product. This must be according to this contract. It must be according to contract. So you cannot design class as you like. There are certain rules for designing class. Then we ask our developers to implements a contract. This is how class implements contracts. That means now you cannot design this class as you like. You have to design as per the contract. As per the contract, now you can see it says, so it is, see, incorrectly implements. Because what is missing? Missing name, price, quantity, total and print. That means now we have to implement. So here we say public. What is it? Name, and see its type is automatically taken. Automatically taken because contract says that it should be string, and we will put some string. Similarly, we have public price. It is number type. We will put some number. So we have public quantity. This is also number. We will put some number. And we have public and a total. Total, you see, you press tab, automatically it gets the definition. How it is getting the definition? Because in contract, what is mentioned, it will take. Now it is easy for a developer because just we need to attach a contract. It will automatically help him in complete definitions. Now it should just return what? This dot quantity into this dot price, because it should return a number. Another one is public. What is it? Print. Print is a void type. It should print all the details. Console.log name is this dot name. In the next line, price. So this dot price, and in the next line, quantity. So this dot quantity, and in the next line, total is equal to this dot total. That's how we need to define. This is the class, how we implement. And very important, a class can implement multiple contracts. That means, so a class can implement multiple contracts. It can implement multiple contracts. That means syntactically you define a class and a class name, and it implements. So we have contract 1 and comma contract to. Multiple inheritance is supported. It implements multiple contracts. So a class can implement multiple contracts. You can implement multiple contracts, and everything should be as per the contract. Everything must be according to the contract. Here, one interesting question will be there. In interviews, they ask the questions. Because see, these topics are very huge. If interviewers likes, he can conduct entire 1.5 hour, 2 hours interview on only class concept. Understood? They are very huge. No need to conduct interview for, means he don't need to look for questions. One topic is enough to conduct interview for you. Right? That means just he will choose only contracts, interface. On that interface, entire 1.5 interview may happen. So many questions are there. So that if you put experience, then they will go very in-depth about the concept architecturally. So here one point is, now you see, now this is having contract. So I am defining. So here I will put another contract. What is it? Interface I category. I category have a category name. Category name is a string type. Now this product can implement I category also. Then according to I category, you have to mention category name. Am I right? That means public. What is it? Category name. It is a string type. We are defining like this. Currently, I am just giving some empty values. So really, before printing, we have to mention all these values. Let's see how we can configure. Now, this is okay. Now, we have to just create LET TV is equal to what type? New product type. And through TV, the name is Samsung TV. And TV.price, that is some price. And TV.quantity is equal to 2. Then just TV.print. Print, no total, because total is automatically calculated. Just you need to print, and you can see all the details are there. That means whatever details you configured, all are there. Now comes interesting part here is which they ask in interview. It is implementing contract. Now I am writing public stock. It is a Boolean type is equal to true. So is it allowed to add a new property in a class which is not in the contract?
Allowed.
Don't see red line there. Don't give answer based on red line coming or not, because that red line will bluff you so many times. Is it possible?
Yes, possible.
To add a new feature which is not according to contract? Yes. What is a class? Template. Template means it can be customizable, na? Then it is customizable. Customizable means it will implement all what are necessary. In addition to that, you can add anything. But what are minimum necessary, they must be implemented. Any additional things you can implement. What is meaning of template? You use all the features given. Along with that, you can also add new features. That is customizable. That means it is possible. You can define. That means now it's necessary. That means if anybody asked you this question, like, can we define any member additionally in a class,
Yes,
which is not configured in a contract, which is not configured in contract. So answer is yes. So why? Because class is a
Mutable.
template. Class is a template. It allows. What is mentioned in contract is compulsory. What is not mentioned in the contract, so you can also define that. We can also configure that. That is important. So here I will run this now and see. Let's check this. We need to add these details also. Additionally, what I added. So in the print, I am defining two more details. /n category is equal to this dot category name /n. So stock is equal to this dot stock. Stock is not as per the contract. So now you can see, additionally you mentioned something in the contract, it is working fine. Category name is not mentioned because we have to apply the category name. MTI given, we have to use TV dot category name is equal to some electronics. Then I am defining that, then it will get the new value and display. It will get the category name. Right? This is how we configure implementation for a class. And very important here, class inheritance. Class inheritance is same like you have learned for inheritance of interfaces, same. That means a class can extend another class. A class can extend another class. So it supports multi-level. It supports single and multi-level inheritance. So class cannot extend multiple classes. Understood? Why a class cannot extend multiple classes? What is ambiguity means? Ambiguity is confusion. What confusion? Why class cannot extend multiple classes? Class cannot extend multiple classes because of constructor deadlock. That is technical answer. Because of constructor deadlock, multiple inheritance is not supported for classes. Right? So that is the technical answer why multiple inheritance is not supported. Constructor deadlocks. What is a constructor deadlock? I will tell you. One simple point we will see. Actually, inheritance rule is there. Suppose, so we have superclass. Superclass means base. Super 1, Super 2, these are base classes. Super 3. Every class have a constructor. Every class is having a constructor. Default constructor will be there. Every class will have a default constructor. Actually, this rule I will explain. In JavaScript, you will learn this rule. Whenever you are creating a class derived, this derived class is extends Super 1, Super 2 and Super 3. It is extending Super 1, 2, 3. It is extending Super 1, 2, 3. Actually, in this derived class, we have a constructor. As per the rules of inheritance, this derived class constructor must call superclass constructor. Otherwise, inheritance will not work. In Java.NET, it internally happens. So you don't have problem, and you people sometimes don't know also, because that internally happens. But in JavaScript, TypeScript, it will not. You have to manually do it. That means, for example, you see, I'm creating, so this is example for that. Yeah. Suppose here I am giving a simple class as super, and it is having a constructor. This is console.log super class constructor. And after that, I am having a class derived. So derived is also having a constructor. This is console.log derived class constructor. Derived class constructor. Okay. Actually, when you create an object here, let obj for derived class, I want this derived class to access superclass also. Then derived class extends what? Super. Immediately error comes. This will not come in your Java or .NET, because in Java.NET, as per object-oriented programming rules, the derived class constructor will automatically call base class constructor before the derived constructor is called. As per OOP rules, derived class constructor can execute only after base class constructor. That is the object-oriented programming rule about inheritance. First, which constructor? Base class, super class. After that, the derived class. This rule is internally followed by all your technologies, but not JavaScript and TypeScript. That is the reason JavaScript, TypeScript shows an error in constructor, because it says that as per rules, you have to call superclass constructor in derived. That means derived class constructor cannot execute. Superclass constructor must be called inside derived class constructor before it executes. In that case, you see that rule will be there. So constructors for derived classes must contain supercall. That means you have to call the superclass constructor. How? By using super keyword. Super keyword you have to call. That is the rule. This you don't need in your Java.NET, because they internally call. They internally call. You don't need this. Right? But in JavaScript and TypeScript, it will not. So you have to manually do this. So your inheritance will fail every time when you are not calling superclass constructor. This rule you have to remember. So while working with JavaScript and TypeScript, that is the basic rule. Right? You have to manually call. Internally, it will not call. If you forget to manually call, then inheritance error will be there. So as per the rules, which constructor must be called? Superclass. Here, how many superclasses are there? 3 superclasses. Which one first priority? There is no priority. All are same. If all are same, now what happens is, now this, for this constructors, memory is allocated. One constructor must load, which that means this derived class constructor is calling superna. Now what happens is, the first superclass constructor is waiting for second. Second is waiting for third. Third is waiting for second. All are waiting for each other. Nobody is going into memory. This is called deadlock. Deadlock means all are waiting for each other. No one is going. Because of this concept, deadlock of constructors, multiple inheritance is not supported. Why multiple inheritance is supported in interface? Interface don't have constructors. Understood? Interface don't have constructor, na? Interface don't have constructor. That means here multiple inheritance cause, reason is who? Reason is constructor, not ambiguity or not duplicate methods or properties. It is constructor. Because constructors have a deadlock situation, so it is not possible. Then why it is possible? Ambiguity problem will not come in interface. Huh? Interface will not have same name methods. Huh? I told you interface can have same name properties. Huh? Which one it will use if it is having same name? It will use the first one. First one. That means it is not about same name members. It is about construct. Why interface will support multiple inheritance? Because there is no constructors. There is no constructor deadlocks because they don't have constructor. Why it is not supported for classes? That is because of constructor deadlocks. So the correct answer why multiple inheritance is not supported for classes, that is constructor deadlock. Why it is supported for interface? Because there is no constructor. If there is no constructor, no deadlocks, then it will work. It is not about same name members. Even same name members are there, it will work. How it will work if it is having same name members? Same name members are there, it will override, na? Then what is problem? That is not confusion about members. That is confusion about constructors. So the concept is constructor deadlock. So what is the rule here? TypeScript derived class constructor must call superclass constructor. Understood? TypeScript derived class constructor must call superclass constructor. This is the same rule you follow in general JavaScript also. So whenever you are defining the classes, we have to understand this. Derived class constructor must call super. So syntactically, we have class super. In that we have a constructor and we have class derived. This extends super, and here we have constructor, and this constructor must have super call. This is compulsory. Otherwise, inheritance will fail. Inheritance will fail. So inheritance will always fail in TypeScript and JavaScript if derived class is not calling the superclass constructor. It is not a problem in other programming languages because they internally do this work. Internally they do this because it is a standard rule of OOP. So, but in TypeScript and JavaScript, we have to manually do that by using super. And important, if superclass constructor is parameterized, understood? Those parameter values you have to pass while calling the constructor. If it is optional, you can ignore. You know optional. If it is optional, you can ignore. If it is not optional, then it is mandatory to pass the parameter. So can we have optional parameters in a constructor? Yes. So optional parameters, array parameters, anything can be in the constructor, same like a function, right? This is all about constructors, right? Constructors, and another one is inheritance. Now we have another concept, polymorphism, abstraction, how they work. What is polymorphism? What is abstraction? 4 more concepts are there. With that, we will finish all the TypeScript. Then we will go into Angular now, right? So for that, 2-3 more topics are there. We will discuss that. We will continue in tomorrow's session, right? Tomorrow we'll continue, right?